Yo, what is up, travelers? SaganSurvives here, and I wanted to do an update for the Swarmblade bleed bug build for empowered monoliths specifically. The last video was pre-empowered and kind of talked about the things you need to get set up to head into empowered monoliths. And now that I've been in empowered monoliths for the last few days now, and also found out some updated information about one particular part of the build, I wanted to get kind of a final update out about this build so you guys could feel like you have all the information needed as you head into empowered monoliths. So again, we're sticking with ice thorns. There's been a lot of talk about using Spriggan here, and I have tested that the last few days using Spriggan, and I don't have any increased minion health on my gear setup, mind you. And overall, I feel like it is an option if you want to do Spriggan form. There's a lot of guides out there that will recommend this, but I don't recommend it personally, especially for new players, because dealing with a non-expendable minion while you're in form is just kind of annoying. But I did want to test this, and overall I would give it like a B in terms of effectiveness, because if you just basically, you get Spriggan form, you first get the 5 points here in Aura of Life, and then you just basically just make it as tanky as possible, get all 5 here, and again all 5 here for Warding Bark, getting as much health and armor to the Spriggan, and then I do just get the Vine thing, and then put the final points in Branches of Winter to give it some freeze chance. It's okay, it certainly does work, but your Spriggan will die. I find that I don't know, 50% of the time when I go into a map, it will die at least once, and then maybe it will survive the whole time depending on positioning and everything. But without increased minion health invested on your gear, it's probably not going to survive in empowered monoliths. It does have a healing aura that will help it keep it alive, and also it will help heal you, but overall I personally don't like it. I like to stick with ice thorns. I know that it seems like a suboptimal pick, but this 40% chance for it to cast when you're hit, that's a very high chance for cast on hit. Additionally, you can get, in fact, I do have percent chance to cast Ice Thorns when hit here, so my percent chance to cast is closer to 50%. But anyway, it does give a significant amount of armor. This Thorn Barrier, 40 armor base, 40 armor base, that's 80 armor. That's just as much as we're getting 2 points from Swarmblade form. So while this buff is up, while Thorn Barrier is up, it also has a 40% chance to recast, so it has a chance to chain recast. This does provide at least like 4 to 8% armor depending on your setup, so it is significant, and I do enjoy to use it because it's a low cost mana thing, and it does give you hit damage reduction, which is really good, especially for empowered monoliths. Moving on to the Swarmblade tree here. My last update video, the Swarmblade Research Center researchers got together, and we discovered that we don't even need Carnage because our rage generation can come from somewhere else. So anyway, this is the updated tree as of that finding. So we're keeping with the 4 points in Water Strider, keeping 2 points in Hive Mind, and then the big change here, like I said, we're dropping these 2 points in Slashing Spiral, dropping whatever points you have in Carnage, and we're putting those points over into this Bleed branch. This is something that I've always wanted in the build. Absolutely massive. It just adds another 100% chance to bleed, and then obviously gives your Locust a chance to bleed as well, so that does help overall. And then this Bloodlust Swarm is an absolutely massive damage multiplier for the Swarmblade AoE, and it's actually huge, as you'll see in this upcoming boss fight. So this is a huge breakthrough, and I highly recommend you guys switching to this setup for your skill point allocations. This should say 22, but there's a bug in the game where it only says 20 right now, but I do have 22 points in the Swarmblade. And then this, nothing changed here. You can opt to drop Essence of Debris to just drop this stun chance if you want to, and you can put 2 points into Arctic Chill just for travel purposes, and then put 2 points into Maelstrom. This will heal you while you have Maelstrom stacks, so it's pretty good. But I just like to have the stun chance for boss fights. Stun chance doesn't really affect us too much because we're not really stunning all that much, so you can opt to go for healing winds. It's also a very good choice. Now moving on to Serpent Strike, this is where we had our big rage generation finding. Constrictor here, so we had these 3 points in here always. What we did was we dropped the 5 points from corrosive venom because it's not really all that impactful. And we put them over into this area where we are getting Constrictor, which applies, or rather gains a buff on you, and then when you consume that buff, you get mana back, and mana does equal rage while we're in form, so this is incredibly powerful for generating rage, and enabled us to drop the points in Swarmblade for rage generation to pick up more damage. So this setup for Serpent Strike is superior to anything that I talked about in previous videos. And then here on Tornado, we're mainly using Tornado to get Aspect of the Storm for increased attack speed, increased movement speed, and that's basically what I'm recommending for this build, just to try to get as much attack speed as possible, because attack speed is very, very good. So yeah, basically this build, you know, you summon these swarms, you swarm strike, and you have a AoE around you, and that's kind of the build. The way we do single target damage, as you'll see in this upcoming fight, is we just get as many bleed stacks as possible. There's no additional modifiers on this monolith because I put in the work to clear all my modifiers before I start the fight here. So whenever I start a boss fight, I always summon some hives to get my locusts out, and then I swarm strike them as soon as possible, and then basically just avoid all telegraphs, especially in empowered monoliths. You need to avoid as many telegraphs as possible, because in this game telegraphs really do hurt a lot. And basically the strategy here is you stack up as many bleeds as you can, and then you wait for your locusts to, oh, see that huge hit right there? That was a big shotgun hit from one of his abilities, and that's why we want to try to be like as mobile as possible here. So this corner is really bad for us. We don't want to really stand in this corner too long. I don't like this corner at all. That's okay for now. That ball attack's coming out right now, so we want to move away from that. And then we're going to go back to getting bleed stacks on him. So now we've got 100 bleed stacks, and we've got a lot of locusts, and we use our Swarm Strike. And when we combine the bleed stacks being consumed with all of our swarm, or rather our locusts around us, it combines to be like a very incredible high damage attack. So definitely want to try to synergize as many locusts being consumed with your bleed stacks as possible, because that's how we're going to really get a lot of damage. I do not like this corner right now. There's some weird movement things in the game right now. Yeah, thank you for moving. So this boss is obviously a little weird right now, but luckily he's not doing too much damage to us. I did switch to a shield because shields are very strong overall in this game. I kind of felt like I was taking a little bit too much hit damage, so because of that I switched from a two-hander. There's another reason why I switched to a shield. I kind of just was at a point where I needed more stats than what a two-handed weapon alone could give me. I need more defensive stats, that is. So I had to include a shield in order to get some void resistance so I could get a new neck piece on. So anyway, we're going to continue to just watch our locusts. We're going to continue to just monitor how many bleed stacks we have. And boom, because we have the Culling Strike, we go ahead and just kill him once he gets down real low. And look at that, we got our percent chance to shred physical on hit. This is a huge damage increase for us. Percent chance to shred physical resistance on hit will scale our bleed damage, so this is absolutely vital. It would have been ideal to get this before heading into Empowered Monoliths, but I skipped it, and it was one of the first Empowered Blessings that I went for here. Pretty high roll of it too, so I'm pretty happy with this. We're going to go ahead and just replace that. So that means I'm going to have to pick up some physical resistance from somewhere. Only 10% though, so that's not a big deal. So while on the topic, I did switch to a shield. I had some questions about tankiness in Empowered Monoliths, and the biggest thing I can advise is get as much percent health increases as possible. So on our idols here, I had a 4x1 stun avoid idol. I switched to this neck piece, which gave me hybrid stun avoidance, gave me some brace and some increase. So this is just enough stun avoidance to avoid most stuns in the game, but you will still kind of get stunned every once in a while, like I did in this fight a couple times. But then I also got this increased health headpiece yesterday. Increased health is very, very vital. That's how we pushed above the 2,200 health pool mark to almost 2.7 right now. Ideally, we're going to get to like 3K, and then we'll feel like even more comfy, but you want to push this health as much as possible. And the ways we do that is basically just getting percent health on your chest, percent health on your helm, percent health on your belt, and then hybrid health on your boots, your gloves. Hybrid health and percent health increase, especially on the idols, is very, very, very good. And then I did switch to a shield because shields do provide a bit more of just base block chance, and it will help you feel a lot more tanky. And then as far as a one-handed weapon, you do want to go for this one-handed axe that has a high percent chance to bleed implicit, get percent melee attack speed on it, and then get percent chance to bleed. Frailty is also a really good mod to ensure that the target is doing as little damage to you as possible, and then just making sure that your aspect of the boar up as much as possible is really important. And aspect of the boar, just to reiterate, it happens when you get hit by a melee attack. It lasts for a period of time. But we also have 3 points in aspect of the boar chance on melee hit. Since we're hitting so much, this will also proc it quite a bit as well. So anyway, if you are feeling like you need some tankiness, I highly recommend going for a shield, because shields are just very, very good, especially if you get like a purple shield like this. Like, this is one of the high-end tier shields. I needed that void res because I lost it from my neck piece, because I wanted to get the physical penetration on my neck piece. So because of that, I had to pick up a shield. The high block effectiveness is incredibly powerful. The high block, you need block chance, you need block effectiveness for sure. And then this, just basically opened up the ability to just kind of face tank more things without feeling like I'm in too much danger. And then the other thing too is I do have some investment into percent endurance on my gloves and my relic. I dropped the leech relic, and that's because I picked up leech in the Druid tree here. Basically just removed points from natural attunement since I didn't need this additional resistance. Drop some points from primal strength and put them into survival of the pack to get my leech from there. And then basically to Wind of the Leaves is a very powerful passive node that you can put instead of going here or here. Like, if you feel like you don't need these things, Wind of the Leaves will get you to the final tier where you're going to put your final points into these nodes here. 2 points into Impervious is what I recommend, and then the rest into Hide Skin just for increased health. But if you're feeling tanky and you don't need it, then don't worry about it too much. But I just wanted to show kind of the layers of defense that we're working with. So at any given time, we have 28% health, or armor, excuse me, 28% armor, which is okay. It's not great. I'd rather have more, and that's why I have the Ice Thorns, because when I do get hit, then I get that armor increase. But with Maelstrom stacks, we have about 20% chance to dodge, and then when you start using Serpent Strike with those Maelstrom stacks, your dodge chance goes up to, I mean, we're looking at the kind of in the consistent amount of 66% chance to dodge if you are always diving and always serpent striking. So this is pretty much like every single boss fight, like this is all we're doing. And so you have a flat 60% chance to dodge every attack mixed in with a 41% chance to block. We have very, very high damage avoidance right now. So if you are feeling like you're taking too much damage, I definitely recommend switching to a very effective, high tier shield similar to this, because that will really help you feel tanky. Overall, I'm having a lot of fun. This is working really well for me. There haven't really been a ton of close calls, and yeah, it's going great. So anyway, I just wanted to make this quick update video for Empowered Monoliths, kind of give you guys an idea of the gear I'm working with right now, and I'll have updated imager albums below. If you have any questions, definitely let me know, and good luck in Eterra, travelers.